Good morning and welcome to Wishwell Farms. My name is Jason, and today I have something a little bit different for you. We're not going to be talking about sweet corn, but we are going to be talking about the economics of farmers markets. I've been invited to sit down for a 20-minute radio broadcast with WOSU, a radio station out of the Ohio State University campus in Columbus, Ohio, for a segment called All Sides. And joining me during this broadcast will be the manager of the Worthington Farmers Market, Chelsea. I'm hoping I'm allowed to film the segment, but if not, I will do my best to use the audio in some way, shape, or form in this video. I hope you'll consider joining me, and I will see you in Columbus.
You're listening to All Sides. I'm your host, Amy Juravich. Today we're discussing farmers markets and the economics of it and what it means to be a part of one. Stroll down the streets of Worthington on a Saturday morning, and you'll be greeted by rows of vendors selling everything from tomatoes to honey to bread. And here to tell us more is the manager of the Central Ohio's largest farmers market, Chelsea Case, the manager of the Worthington Farmers Market. Welcome to All Sides, Chelsea.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
We also have Jason Wish, owner of Wishwell Farms, as well as a vendor at the Worthington Farmers Market. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
So, Chelsea, let's start with you. What does it take to run a market, especially such a popular one? I mean, you're one of the largest here in Central Ohio. What's it like to run one?
Yeah, it's so interesting because there are so many facets to it. You really need to have the support of the city. We also have a fantastic team of volunteers. The majority of farmers markets that you see are going to be ran by nonprofits or else through a city. So it's really important to have those relationships and also have a really fantastic team behind you. We are all year. So we run from January to December. So we are not just a summer market. And so we actually go indoors. We go indoors to the shops at Worthington Place. So it's important to have those relationships within our city as well and our businesses.
And tell me about the vendors. I mean, do you have like a wait list? Do you always have people wanting to be vendors? I'm sure I asked that because I know it's to be true. So you are probably full all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and the one thing that we really try to do is we try to keep our vendors that have been with us. So Jason here has actually been with the farmers market for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
And that's really important to not just us, but also to our customers. We have customers that they've been lifelong customers of Jason. Their kids are going to become lifelong customers of Jason. And that's really kind of how you build that market. It becomes a whole family community thing.
And Jason, so Wishwell Farms grows tomatoes, melons, corn, more. As someone who's a vendor at the Worthington Farmers Market, what does a typical day look like for you whenever it's a market day?
It starts very early.
I can imagine. Yeah. Tell me about a typical day.
Well, we spend the entire week preparing for Saturday farmers markets. We've kind of structured our farming business model around selling at farmers markets. At one time, we attended up to 14 markets. Now we've kind of scaled back to about 7 farmers markets, and Worthington has always been our biggest and best market. So it gets priority over all the other farmers markets that we attend. So throughout the week, we're harvesting, washing, packing all of our produce, storing it in a cooler to keep it fresh for Saturdays. We do have some outlets throughout the week, but a majority of our produce is sold on Saturday mornings. So Saturday morning starts very early, about 4 a.m., especially during sweet corn, green bean, melon season. I'm up at 4 a.m. out packing the trucks, getting everything ready, because we're sending out not just the Worthington truck, we're sending out 5 trucks to different farmers markets around Central Ohio. But the employees will arrive around 6:30. I have the trucks packed. They head out to the farmers markets. And the one at Worthington, we arrive about 7 o'clock, an hour before starting time. It takes them an entire hour to get everything set up. There's a lot of infrastructure to set up for a busy farmers market day. And hopefully make some money in the 4 hours that we're there, and then they pack it all up and bring it back home to the farm.
Well, where is your farm located? So how far are you driving this produce around?
We're in Bellefontaine, so it's about 55 miles. So it takes almost an hour to drive to the market.
And many of your crops are seasonal. I mean, how does a farm deal with like large amounts of produce where you have a lot, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, and then less produce another time? Like, how do you balance life? I mean, because I'm guessing like every week is different.
Absolutely. After doing this for so long and always keeping detailed records throughout each season, I can look back on those records and I can kind of figure out how to better stage our crops so they're not all ready at the same time. So we want to continue a steady supply throughout the entire season. If we have a glut, we might not be able to get rid of everything, and that can cost us money. If we have a gap, that's going to cost us money as well, because then we don't have anything to sell at the market. So it takes a lot of detailed planning throughout the off season to make sure that you can implement that during the season.
It sounds like making a profit at a farmer's market is a juggling act, is it?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, it's a business, but it's also a juggling act a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Chelsea, do you feel that most farmers at the market, do they make their most money on your Saturday markets? Like, are you hearing from all your farmers? Is everyone positive and profitable?
Absolutely. And that's something that's so important to the infrastructure of your farmers market, is you want to ensure that you have enough for your folks that are coming in, but you don't want to cannibalize. So we have a certain amount of farmers with produce any given day throughout the season to ensure that we have enough for all of our customers coming in, so that they can still make a great income and leave hopefully mostly sold out.
Yeah, and the example that was given earlier is you want to make sure that every vendor can't have tomatoes. That's not going to work. So is that your job, to make sure that every vendor doesn't have tomatoes?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that is so important. That itself is a juggling act. So when we get our applications for each season, so we open applications for our winter and then for our summer. And when we get those applications, we have to look at, okay, this is how many, like, this is what our traffic counts have been. This is how everybody has been doing, selling their product. Are we selling out too early? Do we need more tomatoes? Or, oh, wow, people are taking tomatoes home. Let's back off. Maybe we don't need producers to come with tomatoes.
Are you calling certain farms midweek and being like, I really need you to bring more tomatoes?
So my big one is, and unfortunately with farms, as Jason knows, they can only control what they can control. So I will usually text or I'll shoot an email saying, please tell me you have more strawberries. It's starting to be towards the end of the season. I have people that are asking for them. So it's kind of just a dice roll of hoping that we get that. But I definitely do check in to make sure that we have what our customers are coming for.
Jason, let's talk about some unexpected difficulties. I'm going to guess the weather, right? I mean, you chose to be a farmer in Ohio, so you are probably used to, and you can handle what the weather gives to you. But tell me about some difficulties.
Yeah, that can definitely be a struggle. And more so in recent years. It just seems like we've had a lot of dramatic weather events, high winds, heavy rains. It can drown out the crops. It can injure, blow off plastic on our greenhouses. So yeah, weather events have been very difficult to manage more and more each year. I don't remember it being that way 15, 20 years ago. But yeah, it's definitely something we have to take in consideration. And you're always dealing with insects and diseases and weeds. There's always something that we're trying to figure out how to deal with on the farm.
What's your most popular product? I listed a few things that you grow, but the list is very long. You can either tell me your most popular or your favorite.
Sweet corns probably are my favorite to grow. That's how I got my start in vegetable farming. I was originally a dairy farmer, transitioned to produce in 2001. So sweet corn is where we got our start. I've been growing it for 30 years. But tomatoes is our most profitable crop. We started putting up greenhouses to grow early tomatoes, kind of a niche item to sell in the off season before all the other outdoor growers have their tomatoes during August and September and October. So we start selling our tomatoes in late May, all during June and July, and there's not a lot of competition for our tomatoes. So we do very, very well with growing the early tomatoes, and that's kind of what we've hung our hat on at the farmers markets.
Do you stick around at the Worthington market in the winter too? Are you or just the summer?
I was just telling her off camera that we have attended it a couple times many years ago. So we kind of wrap up our season mid-October now.
Okay.
So we're just there during the outdoor season mainly.
Oh. Tell me more about the winter season. I mean, do you still have people selling fresh fruits and vegetables in your indoor market in the winter?
Absolutely. But with that being said, it's definitely quite a few less, but we still have several that come and bring their stuff. It just depends on how their setup is. Also, you're going to find your more seasonal stuff. So potatoes, your like really hardy leafy greens like kale. So things like that.
All the kale.
Yes.
This is All Sides on 89.7 NPR News. We're talking about farmers markets, and we're talking with Chelsea Case, the manager of the Worthington Farmers Market, and Jason Wish, the owner of Wishwell Farms. And Jason's also a vendor at the Worthington Farmers Market. Chelsea, talk to me about how Worthington residents respond to the market, along with nearby businesses. Because in the previous segment, we were talking about about how when people come to a market, they tend to make a day of it and they shop elsewhere too. So talk to me about Worthington residents coming to your market and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that is really fun about the Worthington Farmers Market, we started in 1987, and we were started by a small nonprofit group of the Old Worthington Business Association, specifically to bring business down and revive old downtown Worthington. So since then, we've transitioned. The nonprofit that the Worthington Farmers Market is under is now the Worthington Partnership, because we partner with more businesses outside of Old Worthington, but that is really the businesses that we're protecting. So that's why we're there. We're there to help bring business to those small businesses around us with the farmers market. So it's great. You'll have customers come down. They're shopping at the farmers market. They're getting brunch at Worthington Inn, where Wolf's Ridge just recently opened. They're going to Whitney House to get a drink. Maybe they're making candles at Candleworks. It's a really fun day, and it's great for all ages. You can have a large family. It could be couples. It could be a girls' day.
And Jason, do you have, because Chelsea mentioned, repeat business and people come because they want your stuff. Have you made connections with people?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me about some connections.
So early on, when we started growing greenhouse tomatoes in 2001 and 2002 and started taking them to farmers markets, folks didn't understand how we could possibly have tomatoes. So it was a kind of a learning curve, to teach people that, yes, you can grow tomatoes in Ohio in April, May, and June if they're grown in greenhouses. So we would have to put out samples and kind of educate people how we're doing this. We would show them pictures.
To prove they're not from Mexico.
We had a lot of people that didn't believe that we were actually bringing in homegrown tomatoes from our farm. So we definitely have built a huge clientele at the farmers markets over the years. And without those connections that we've made, we would just be another random grower at a farmer's market, hoping that we can pull people off the street. Now, of course, we're always hoping to grow our customer base in that way, but we have those, I call them our hardcore shoppers, the ones that are there right when the market bell goes off, lining up, ready to buy our produce. And with those relationships and connections that we've built over the years, has helped us remain profitable.
Do you, Chelsea, tell me about people coming in who are not from Worthington? Because I know that your market is popular and attracts others. So do you, I guess that there would be tourists?
Oh, yeah. So and we actually do a dot survey every year to kind of see who's coming in. So well over 40% of folks that are coming to the Worthington Farmers Market are coming from outside that Worthington zip code. So it's really fun to see. We have people that will say that they drove in from Zanesville. We have people that come into town with their family from California, and their family's like, oh, you have to come check out the farmers market. And it's just so fun to see them feel like, wow, this is beautiful. It looks like a little Hallmark movie down here, because downtown Worthington is so charming.
I also want to ask you, Chelsea, about the Worthington Farmers Market accepts SNAP EBT benefits for the vendors. Tell me about this. Tell me about adding it and what it's like for your vendors to have customers using SNAP benefits to buy food.
It is so important, and it's a business that we really try to protect. I'm sure that Christy spoke to it prior, but we also offer the Produce Perks match. So it's a 25 for 25 match. So you can get $25 for using Justin Produce, which is fantastic for our farmers because they're getting that additional business. And for our customers who may feel that shopping at the farmers market is fiscally out of reach for them, this makes it a great incentive for them to come visit us. So they'll use $25 on their EBT card. They'll get an additional free $25 through this grant program of Produce Perks that they can use on any vegetables or fruit in the market.
Do you feel like do you feel like you hear from people that they think farmers markets are not accessible to them? Like they feel like everything costs more?
Absolutely. And that is something that I totally understand if you're not used to shopping at the market. However, I think that it's so important if you're shopping now and if you're going to your major big box grocery stores, you will note that prices are almost on par at this point. And you'll also know that your produce is coming from within a 20-mile radius. So you know it's fresh, you know it's going to last longer.
Jason, talk to me about how you convince people to buy from you instead of going to the Kroger or the Giant Eagle.
Wow. Yeah, we definitely hear that. I hear about that on probably more in the YouTube comments of our farm videos. That
not people to your face, yeah.
And a lot of times I do have to mention that I'm not actually present myself at a lot of these farmers markets now. I'm staying home back at the farm, packing the trucks, being there to put out fires. So I hire good people to run the markets for me. But we definitely hear about how the prices are so high these days that how can they afford to go shop at farmers markets? But the prices are high everywhere. And, we obviously have to cover our expenses. We want to be able to make a profit doing this because it is hard work. It's risky work. And you're getting fresh, like she said, you're getting fresh, locally grown produce. You're keeping the money in the local economy. So, all those things are important. So I try to explain that. And, eating out at fast food is expensive these days. Everything's expensive. But I think the quality of produce and supporting the local growers is what's the most important.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about educating people on buying local, like so that they know that their produce hasn't traveled literally hundreds of miles.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that we really pride ourselves on at the Worthington Farmers Market is we only accept product that has been grown or made within Ohio. So if you're like even our coffee, obviously we can't grow coffee beans here in Ohio. However, what we do make, we ensure that they're at least roasted here. So we want to try to keep all of that business within the state as much as possible so that it benefits the local economy for us. And it's also important too for the fact that we all know we go to the grocery store, we think we're going to eat really healthy, we pick up spinach, we pick up lettuce, and you forget about it for a week, it goes bad. However, if you buy it at the farmer's market, guess what? It's still good when you remember it's still in the fridge. So you end up actually saving money in the long term because your product is going to last longer.
So Jason, what's on tap for this weekend? What are you going to be packing up in the truck at 4:30 in the morning on Saturday?
Well, fortunately, this time of year, I don't have to quite get up that early because there's no sweet corn and green beans and melons yet. But
okay.
We usually try to pack most of our tomatoes and the infrastructure within our box trucks to run a successful market the night before. So that way we're not rushing around too much on Saturday mornings. But right now, the main item at our farm is tomatoes. So we have our greenhouse grown tomatoes and we have grape tomatoes. Those are always a big hit. We have garlic scapes coming off of our garlic patch out in the field. We have a commercial kitchen on our farm where our old dairy facilities used to be. And that's where we produce our sweet and hot pepper relish and fresh salsa and maple syrup. So we have all those items to kind of go along with our tomatoes. But our big item right now is the greenhouse tomatoes.
Wow. Okay. And so I know you'll be at Worthington Farmers Market. Tell me the names of a couple other markets where people can find you.
We will also be at the Clintonville Farmers Market, the Dublin Farmers Market, and the Powell Farmers Market.
All right. We have been talking about farmers markets with Chelsea Case, the manager of the Worthington Farmers Market. Thanks so much for being here, Chelsea.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Jason Wish, owner of Wishwell Farms, a vendor at the Worthington Farmers Market, among others, and farm owner. Thank you for being here, Jason.
Absolutely.
And coming up, we're going to talk to an organization that's working to provide free and fresh produce to people who need it. That is When All Sides continues on 89.7 NPR News.
Well, that was a fun radio segment here at WOSU. Boy, did it go by fast. There were so many things I wish I could have talked about, but in that short of a period, you just don't have time. I could have talked about farmers markets for an hour. Well, anyway, time to head back to the farm and get some work done. Well, I made it back to the farm. That was a really fun experience and glad I got to be a part of that. If you are interested in learning more about our greenhouse tomatoes or would like to see a busy day at the Worthington Farmers Market, check out one of these videos over here next. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, please hit that like button and I will see you all again next time down on the farm.